Hi, I'm David Townsend, the therapist and hypnotist. This is a video about rejection sensitive dysphoria. And I previously made one, and being ADHD, I mislabeled it. Sorry about that. So we'll start again. I have attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and a major part of that for many of us is rejection sensitive dysphoria. Now, dysphoria is an old Greek word for weight. So I'm more sensitive to rejection than ordinary people, whatever that means. And the dysphoria is a weight. It's down, down, down on me. You're born with it. It's genetic tendency. And then it gets reinforced because if you've got ADHD, you tend to make mistakes and you get criticised. And instead of shrugging it off, as most kids do, you know you're rejected, you don't belong, you're put down, and it goes on through school and home, on and on and on and on. And so you grow up lonely, rejected, possibly isolated, believing you have no value, you're useless. So what do we do about it? Well, we reaffirm ourselves. We increase our self-esteem, you might say. Now, the easiest, basic way of doing this is verbal affirmation. It's no good thinking it in your head. Your brain just treats that as rubbish. You've got to say it and do things about it and make a fuss. I am fantastic. I'm amazing. I'm extraordinary. I'm a genius. You don't tell other people that, but you know you are. I'm a genius. I'm really good. I make the decisions. I resolve things. It's a perspective change. We grow up often with a wrong perspective. I meet people who say, oh, we live in this huge universe. There are galaxies out there, hundreds of light years across. And here I am on Earth, one of 6 billion people. I'm insignificant, I don't count, I have no meaning. But that's a wrong perspective because you're able to do it. That's to say, you are conscious. You can think. You can think better than any galaxy or collection of galaxies. Now, there may be other humans or creatures living out there in space, aliens, but we don't know, so it's irrelevant for the moment. I observe the universe. I do it. I do the observing. So I'm the key to it. And I tell myself that whenever necessary, I'm key to all this. Now, there are people in the world who are dependent. There are a lot of women in some countries who are dependent. There's a lot of people in Australia who are dependent, shouldn't be, but are. But whatever your situation, you need to know that I am doing the observing, I am involved. I have problems about anything that prevents that. My problems include all religions. They tend to be very limiting, and whatever the founders were and thought, religions become politicised, they become instruments of the state, instruments of control. And they contain statements I grew up in a Christian Anglican world. We are all sinners, we were taught to say. Rubbish. Anything that limits you, you need to work through, expand, and find a better solution to your thinking. That switch in perspective that I illustrated with the universe, it applies to all sorts of things. But a key thing to all your mental activity is, I choose, I decide. Out of that you can generate all sorts of essential feelings. Now the I might be just me, or it might mean me and my family, or it might mean me and my community, or country, or all the people on earth. I can't imagine loving all the people on earth, but you choose. You're the core. Now, this is a complex thing because it is not selfish in a bad sense. Selfish in a bad sense is, I'm really good and everybody else is complete rubbish. I act for me and me alone, and to hell with everyone else. The other sort of selfishness, if you like to use that word, is I make the decisions about my life. So this, to me, takes away the weight of rejection sensitivity. And you need to work through rejection somewhat by noticing what's going on. If you're at school and you get criticised by a teacher, then you need to take note of what they're saying. It's a better way of doing something, or a correct way of doing something. But the voice tone they use doesn't apply to you. If they're helpful, that's good. If they're aggressive or domineering or whatever, you need to be aware that they have problems. They're people. So the teacher who's making a big noise and criticising you may be constipated, or their daughter ran away from home this morning. You don't know. You take note of the information. Their tone doesn't count. Bullying is another situation for kids in school. Well, everybody, I suppose. People bully because they're uncertain of themselves, so they have to try and dominate to feel good. And so the bully, and you need to manipulate ways of handling this, but the bully is an uncertain person. So you need to decide that you feel good inside, strong, healthy, whatever goes on there. Human nature means that you'll get bullying in all sorts of situations, at work, at home, school, whatever. Because there are uncertain people in the world, and their only way of finding certainty is to dominate someone else. They may do things which dominate you, but inside you need to know, I'm good. I don't get rejected. I'm good. I don't even make mistakes. I have learning experiences. The problem about mistakes is you know how to do it wrong next time. No, as far as you can, you learn from it. And I make statements, I feel good about me, whatever goes on. One of the problems we live with is that people want everything to be perfect. And television and films reinforce this ridiculous idea that everybody's perfect, but if you fall away from it, you make mistakes, then that's really bad. The truth of the matter is we are all explorers and learners, and we move through life dealing with whatever comes up on the one hand, and dealing with things the way we decide to act into the future as well. Now, another problem about ADHD I better throw in is we are very bad at dealing with the future. We more naturally sit what's called in time. There are two ways of viewing time. In time, where you're inside the progress of time and you can see the next things up front. Through time is I'm way up above, or perhaps off to the side of time. I can observe the past and the future. A really important thing for people with ADHD is to create a future over the top of the present situation into the future as far as we can. And for some people it's very difficult indeed, but lots of us have learned, it's called timeline, to be able to go into the future more effectively. When we do that, then we start to make decisions for ourselves about the future. This turns into really good stuff. So I wish you well. Affirm yourself inside whatever. There's a story once about a father who was shouting at his son, saying, "Sit down in that chair, sit down in that chair." And the kid keeps standing. And eventually the father forces him down into the chair and says, "See, now you're sitting." And the kid says, "But I'm still standing up inside." Keep doing that. Stay with the really good stuff. Enjoy life. Good luck. That's the key thing.